What up? Welcome. Are we at the end of the year or something? Oh, from this year? Oh, yeah. I'm not sure what I really want to talk about. I just wanted to get on here because I'm excited about what's going on and uh, connections, connections on what connections on things that I've started in the past. Once again, and this has been on multiple podcasts. Something about the path. It's like every podcast now is on the path. um, I guess I can kind of apologize for that, but it's like, man, we're just talking about what's happening every week, and I'll tell you what, this is another monumental week. I've been having a lot of, clearly defining. I say this every episode. Clearly defining what you want and going after it and taking action. Things are lining up like you cannot believe. Stuff that I have done years ago is make I know why I did them today. Things I've started years ago, not even really knowing where I'm going. This is what. So here we go. You just have to start because and the things you start on, they might not make sense. They might not make sense for years. I put on a I made a Mind Tools TV site because I was thinking, man, we're not gonna reveal all that. But I was I made a Mind Tools TV channel on YouTube and I made a video, about this kind of just the starting of a daily takeoff checklist before a daily takeoff checklist was even like completed as it is now. And just everything I've done a couple years ago now it makes sense today on why I did it. And this is why it's important for you people watching to just start. You have to start somewhere. You have to start taking some more sort of action so things so you'll start drawing things in. I'm having thoughts. I'm having thoughts of things that I now want to achieve that are lining up with exactly what I'm doing and where I'm going. And this is even more exciting because this kind of new opportunity that I've thought about it before, but now things have come across my eyeballs that really resonated with me and clicked that it needs to because now I'm further in where I'm going. And this particular now I'm attracting things that are lining up directly with what I'm trying to do and where I'm trying to go. And I don't mean when I'm talking about clearly defined and drawing in things, when you clearly define, I'm talking what you want next. Not 3 years from now. When you get that daily takeoff checklist, which is not in the description of these videos, go on Instagram and click the link on the Instagram page, Frequency Control Show, and get that daily takeoff checklist, because when it'll show you to clearly define what you want next. And when you do that, the next thing you want, which was challenging for me at first, because I'm like, well, I'm going to create this, the big things, which, but I've learned to dial it into what I want next. And I'm telling you, things are still showing up. And I'm talking more relevant. I'm not talking just things like earlier this year, a business presented itself that just was really to show me that I was on the right path, because the things that enticed me about it, I was already doing. But the work I had to do to succeed in that business isn't something that excites me. And I wasn't able to decipher that at first, and wasted my first 3 months of this year. But this particular opportunity just happens to line up with exactly what I'm doing, exactly where I'm going, and exactly what I want next. My next goal. And that's really exciting. The recipe isn't that difficult. You just have to be willing to learn and willing to accept that you're going to have to give some stuff up to be successful. And what are those things? Willing to learn and willing to accept change in yourself, in changing your habits, change in how you see things, change in how you think. Willing to change. And when you clearly define what you want, then you can really start getting excited about it and put your emotions towards it. And you will be shocked at the things you create along your path that is just another domino to help you get there. I cannot wait to be broadcasting from the next place. This background's going to change here real soon, and I will be in a different place. And I'm going to tell you exactly how I got there. I've been taking notes on what's been happening leading up to this. This is super exciting. I know Robert's making new connections as well. Actually having conversations with people that are lined up with what he's doing and is opening doors. And he's running into people just in the things he's already doing. He's not even doing anything out of what he's already doing. It's hard enough for us to go outside. So when we do go outside, we just happen to be making connections with what's lining up with what we're doing. That's not a coincidence. We don't go outside to begin with, but when we do, we're met with event situations and people and that line up with what we're trying to accomplish. When we do go outside, that's not a coincidence. We're creating those opportunities. I'm having so many Man, I'm having so many more thoughts about stuff on different avenues, ways I want to go, and opportunities that I just, it's not even, man, it's getting to the point to where it's not mind blowing anymore. This is how it's supposed to, it's exciting, don't get me wrong. It's not to the point to where it's not exciting anymore, but it's still exciting, but it's not like mind blowing like it was at first. Like, oh my, I used to call Robert up like almost in tears. Like, oh my gosh, do you see this? Do you see this? Do you see how stuff we did years ago is now coming in? Like, this is how life is supposed to go. All you really got to do is just pay attention. I'm wondering how many things I didn't see was an opportunity because I wasn't paying attention. And there's opportunities I'm not taking that I probably should be. But I know there's another opportunity that'll show up. You know? You know, I have opportunities to go outside of this home and do stuff with people. But I choose not to do that at this juncture because I am laser focused on changing this background. I am laser focused on broadcasting the Frequency Control Show from my new home, my new situation. I'm excited to talk to you guys about what's coming, what's happened next, not coming. I don't. I'm not sure what to get into.
Yeah, I think knowing what you want first. Obviously, we talk about the same shit, but the bottom line is, it's so advanced. It's simple. I mean, it's not like once you get it, you kind of get it. Like it's like we're going to be talking about the same shit. And you know what's important about talking about the same stuff is we just kind of keep driving the point home, because some people it's over their head, it's over their head, it's over their head. 6 months later, they're like, oh, okay. It's just like your mom who used to tell you something all your life. She kept telling you, and then 27 years later, you're going, that's what she meant. Oh my God, my mom been telling me this for a minute, and I never got it for all these years. And so that's the same thing. We're just telling you, and then eventually it'll sink in, or you'll get a situation or an experience you'll experience to where that will align with what you're experiencing, to where you go, oh, okay. That's that piece right there. That's that part, you know. So it's heavy, but there's a lot to be said about once you know what you want, then next thing you know, all the other stuff starts to align. And it's like, for me, like, I make music, right? So I produce, I don't want to say just make beats. I make music. So I do everything. So the bottom line is, I'm not in a box, you know, like, so like I do everything, but encompassing around music and the surrounding parts, from video to anything entertainment industry, right? And it's like all of a sudden I meet up with a crew of guys that are on the grind. I mean, they're with Crooked I from Slaughterhouse, which happened to be signed to Eminem. You know, like you know, the same guy who signs Eminem is over here putting this guy I know from where a place that's a common place we go, you know, putting his phone in, just like loving him because he's a white boy with a grill. Looks like Post Malone. It's kind of crazy, but like, you know, these guys happen to go to a place I go to, work in the same industry I work, as far as making some additional income. Obviously, you guys have to find a transition to where you're going. And literally, like, why would there be a bunch of rappers at the same place I'm at, which is this really weird place to even be at, and they happen to be on their grind and be what I've been wishing for, is somebody who doesn't need me to hold their hand through their experience in the music industry, but where I can just give the value I want to give and not have to take on their whole experience and then hope that they really want it as much. You know, these guys are doing it. They're putting their own money forward. Whereas everybody I've met in the past, and I mean everyone, there isn't one to be excluded, wants me to pay for everything, wants me to run the whole shit, wants me to make it all happen, wants me to like do all of it while they just sit there and kind of sit in a booth, you know, like it's like, nah, it's not how it works, you know, like, but it's been my experience, you know. And then all of a sudden I meet these people, and it's not that they're the answer, but it's like you start getting these things put in front of you, and you know, for me, it's twofold. It isn't just that the universe does that once you know what you want. It's that the mastermind experience, like people like to like exclusively put masterminding to what Napoleon Hill is, and I think through experience and knowing the knowledge and knowing the game, like it's not mastermind has to do with multiple heads believing in the same thing and going for the same goal. And it doesn't have to be going in the hills and, you know, eating shrooms and looking at the trees and being like, we're on the same page. It's like, it can be as simple as meeting somebody and both equally wanting something, working together, and then exponentially amplifies what you're trying to go for and makes you get to that point much faster. Sure, there's stronger forms of masterminding, absolutely, where you really get hella focused on what you're trying to do, and that's an extreme form. But don't get lost on the simple fact of connections. And that's why people say, yeah, what's the most important thing? It's networking and getting with people. How did you get so famous? That's networking, man. It had nothing to do with my talent. It had nothing to do with how dope I was. I didn't get to network with Snoop because of how dope I was. It had to do with networking. I knew some guys who knew him, and that's how it happened. You know, it had zero to do that I was dope. You know, like it wasn't on my dopeness. I didn't win a contest. You know, I happened to be forced to network, believe it or not, and that worked out into something. And you know, so with these guys, I had been like letting it marinate for like 3 months, and then finally like got into a natural conversation, and then I kind of naturally evolved into like what I've been wanting to say for, you know, 3 months, and to where it became this very organic, let's work, you know, let's do this thing. But these guys, you know, are already on track to do something big. I mean, they work with Ice Cubes. They work with these famous people. They're opening for them. They have relationships, and you know, and I have some common relationships as well in the past. And so it's like, you just be surprised how fast, from a mastermind perspective, is now think about it. I have a thing, which is, say I make beats, music, and I'm very, very, very good at it. And then I meet these guys where I can add value to what they're doing because they're on that path. And then they can create opportunities and new things I would never have had possible had I just sat there and never talked to them. Just by me talking to them and us equally like are connecting mentally and through the ethers and all these other things, when your brains combine and we have a common goal and we speak and we're talking and he's like, whoa, let's work, bro, like I like what you do. And then I have my stuff, and then next thing you know, he goes and tells his friend Teddy, and Teddy knows this guy. Next thing you know, my goals are traveling and being handled by people that I had no clue or even handling, and making things happen for me without me even knowing. You know, simply because I did that. You know, a dumbed down version is how I met Snoop. I was grinding. I would talk about it, and then people knew about me. And then next thing you know, this girl Therese hits me up and is like, yo, I got a guy named Ricky. He needs some help. And just by me knowing somebody recommended me. And that small piece of mastermind turned into like, I meet Ricky. Ricky's Snoop's uncle. Next thing you know, it's Rio. It's next thing you know, I'm sitting next to Snoop Dogg. I'm with Daz and Corrupt. I'm with the Marleys. I'm with Slightly Stupid. I'm with like all these Ice Cube. I could just name drop all day. But like the bottom line is, all through people knowing what I do, and then once I link up with them and connect, the mastermind expands. So there's a lot to be said if you're going for something to kind of get out there and almost don't hide it from people because you're worried about people not believing in you. And so then you don't tell them what your goals are. There's something to be said about people hating on you and trying to stop you once they know what you're going for. But also letting people know what your intention is with your future can help you. Because, like, think of this. You plant a seed in somebody's head who doesn't know that they're actually fertilizing it. And you literally say, my goal is to be the next president of the United States. And the next thing you know, they happen to be somewhere with somebody who's a politician. And they're like, well, I have a friend, Tommy, who's interested. Maybe he'd want to intern there for free, you know, and work for you and do your paperwork. And then he's like, oh, my God, that's what I plan. And then next thing you know, because you planted that seed, it's a form of masterminding. And so there's a lot to be said about not being quiet and networking and telling people what your intention is. And then masterminding off that. It's like, I think about my skill level to where I am now. It's harder for me to get to Snoop now, but I have 1,000 times more skill. I have literally 1,000 times more skill sets. I'm fucking fire now. I can do everything now. It is not any easier for me to get with Snoop again. However, in the past where I was a hack and just a little like half-ass, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know music theory, I don't know shit. But because I made those connections and I was young and didn't care if somebody was in my house, like where I'm now, I have kids and shit, I'm like, get out of here. But like, next thing you know, I'm directly to Snoop. You know, and now it's harder because I'm less willing to connect, network, i.e., lack of masterminding. So there's something to be said about linking with people. And if you think that you've got to find the perfect specimen to mastermind with, I really think, in my opinion, you're fucking tripping. You're lost. Because if you think that you're waiting for that perfect masterminding opportunity, when you don't realize that networking and just getting with people will move you through the ether so fast, whereas you're waiting for that perfect guy, good luck. That perfect person's probably already famous. You're waiting for the next Steve Jobs to meet up with you. You're guaranteed his experience wasn't perfect. You know, like he's going through stomping and smashing on everybody in sight, you know. Yet he had a goal and was getting there, and he thought the same way we do, and he was on these things, but everybody around him was like, yeah, the guy's a total dickhead. You know, like, you just don't know what the perfect person is, you know? So I have to say, network, mastermind, and you'll move to your place much faster. Much faster. And I think about that more now that I'm like, man, you know, how did I get with the Snoop Dogg situation? I was like, was really kind of networking. You know, even though I wasn't trying to network, but I was networking by telling people what I like to do. Oh, I love to make beats. I make these rap songs. I'm cool. I'd have people come out to my car from work and listen to my little rappies, you know, and then next thing you know, they're like, well, this kid's like a rapper guy making beats and stuff. And then next thing you know, this girl gets a boyfriend, happens to be Snoop Dogg's uncle, and then he needs help. And she goes, well, I know a guy at work, and I think he's good. I don't know. The next thing you know, well, you want help from him, I'll give me his number. And then next thing you know, it's popping like that. Had I never said shit, that would have never happened. Had I never told people what I was into. So there's something to be said about letting other people know, and believe it or not, you're masterminding on a super, super small level, but it's massively big at the same time. By telling people, guess what? Now it's in another brain. Even if that brain has no intention of helping you. When I told Therese what I was into it the first time, she's a country listener. She's like, this little rapper boy, well, she don't understand what the hell I'm doing, you know? And then not until the day that seed grows and goes, and she gets with that person in the right opportunity. 6 months later, oh, I know a guy. You know, so you have to plant that seed in so many people to help create that. Like there's something to be said about doing that, you know, like it's massively important. It's massively important to let people know what you want to do. I'm a firm believer in it, and I see myself and at a point in some of my aspects of my personality are like, I don't really want to put myself out there. I don't trust anybody. I'm not that kind of person. But the next thing you know, I know that about myself. I know my flaws. I know it's not right to be that way. And so I force it and I say what I need to say to these people. And then next thing you know, they're like, oh my God, let's work. And then next thing you know, it's like, okay, Mach speed ahead. But there's something to be said about put yourself in a weird situation, get yourself out there, tell people what you're into, even though you don't think they believe you and they think you're good. I guarantee when I told Therese that stuff and I said, I make beats and I rap, and she's probably like, whatever, dork. You know, like literally in prior head was like, what an idiot. He was never going to make it at that. You know, and that's it. Right? Gets a boyfriend. Oh, well, I know somebody. So this person didn't even trust in me, didn't believe in me, didn't have to. Didn't have to. Just knew of it and then recommended. She didn't have to believe in me. She just like, well, I know a guy, you know, think he has recording equipment, and then forces me to talk to this guy, and then that leads to Snoop Dogg. So I think there's something hugely important about awareness. Let the world know. And if a million people knew you were into something, would you not have more of a chance to get there? I think that's a no-brainer logic thing to say, yeah, you'd have way more chance of getting out there if a million people knew what you were trying to do. And if 999,000 of them didn't like you, who cares? There's still 1,000 people that dig you. And that could turn into something. You know what I mean? So, and you do the math. $100 a year times 1,000 people, that's $100,000 a year. So you could be making bread off that. So the bottom line, there's power in numbers, you know, like, and I firmly believe in it from a mastermind perspective, a logic perspective, you know, tell people about yourself, you know, let them know. And that could be on social media. It doesn't necessarily have to be specific people. I notice as soon as I get on social media and I start DMing people, immediately I get opportunities. And I'm like, why don't I do this like 2 hours a day? You know, 2 hours every day. And I have a plan. As soon as I'm done with this freaking video that's just been a monster, as soon as I'm done with that, it's like, it's on. I don't know why I don't just do it now, but I just want nothing to stop me from this. But once that's done, I'm going to be juggling 10 things at one time and just go with that angle. But it's massive. So again, my experience this week was finally breaking my comfort zone and just speaking on what my intention was and what I do and what value I can bring, and that turning into a possibility, you know. And something that could be major, because the connects these guys have is tons of people, tons of shows. They're current in the industry, and my intention is to put out an album and do a bunch of other stuff and work, but nothing be doper than all of a sudden, you know, 80 rappers. Pfft, talk about the frickin' cheat code. I know 80 rappers. I happen to make beats. Well, it's a rap, because these guys can't making enough beats for 80 rappers. You know, if each rapper needs 1,000 beats to go through to find 10 good ones that they connect with to be dope, 1, 2, 3 beat makers can't do that for 80 people. You know, they need infinite amounts of beats. And so for me and what I do, which is make beats, that's massive. You know, it's pretty cool. But it starts out with breaking out of your shell. And again, it is a form of mastermind. Sure, there are ways to mastermind and get the most out of that mastermind, but don't sleep on the simple mastermind of just talk to people, let them know what you're doing, and believe it or not, now their energies and their things are vibrating what you want. You don't realize that. I mean, sure, there's also that negative too. They could be vibrating and they want to hate on you and hope you don't get there, and then that goes against you. But at the same time, most people just go, wow, that's cool, and don't even know that in their head they're vibrating and helping your vision go out there. You're painting that picture for the universe by going to more people. Believe it or not, man, it's massive. And if you think of it even on a simple logical level, the more people that know, the better you are, the better your chances are of getting somewhere.
Yeah, being around people is challenging. I think it's probably the hardest part for myself is just wanting to be around people, wanting to be around people and talking about what I'm into when most of the conversations I have about what I'm into, people aren't getting. But that can't be a deterrent. You still, he is right when talking about getting it out there, and help creating opportunities. Because unfortunately, you can't do it by yourself. And that's just something I just cannot grasp. But it's a lot more challenging to do everything on your own. And if you want to have the best product, if you want to put out the best content, if you really want to achieve what you want to achieve at the highest level, you're probably going to have to include other people. Depending on what you're doing, right? In general, you're probably going to have to lean on some other people along the process. And that can be really challenging, but getting out of your comfort zone and talking to people, that is you will notice that you've actually attracted those conversations. And that's another way to look at it, to kind of be excited and get out there and have these conversations. Because when you get out there and you have these conversations, you're like, wow, that was really powerful. And then, like Robert said, why am I not doing more of this? I'd probably be further along if I would get out of this house more, But, by getting out and talking to people, that's when you really draw into things that you couldn't see happening. The things you can't imagine. That's how you really start creating those situations. I never knew, because just his experience, you can go back to how did he even end up at that Lowe's? How did he even end up in that town at that Lowe's? How could the person that connected him to Snoop Dogg himself work at that Lowe's and happen to have the boyfriend to make the connection? There is so many variables that are like, that was meant to happen, because there's too many variables. One inkling of a change and it wouldn't have happened. So I think that's a good point on.
Yeah. Not to mention, I wanted to say no the whole time. Like, nah, fuck these guys.
Getting out there and talking with people, that's how you create the opportunities that you could not see. I don't really have anything else on that. I highly suggest you go to Frequency Control Show, though, on Instagram and get that daily takeoff checklist. I'm not sure why it's not in the descriptions.
Yeah, I've been pasting them on all the descriptions, so I'll dig into that. In fact, I'll do it right after we get off today and just make sure they're in all of them. But there's this key where it lets you paste it on all of them. Some of them have two of the damn same thing, so I'll have to figure out what the hell's going on, but it should be in there.
Frequency Control Show, Instagram. Get on there, check out our, we got some positive, kind of motivating stuff, usually daily. You even see some clips of our shows that get straight to the point.
Really cool
that
stuff.
Are very informative and exciting to watch. Check those out as well, and then click that link and check out that daily takeoff checklist, and you can subscribe to this show. And you have access to some clothing, some t-shirts, sweatshirt, some clothing that'll just about positive sayings to just kind of remind you, to feel good now. Get you a shirt You know, that you know, where the words you are. But there's more coming to go on. There's more coming on that tip too. Oh boy. And yes, there's some exciting stuff coming. These audios are pretty much wrapped. Sorry, it's been taking longer than I expected. I like to be professional, man, so I'm just really fine tuning them again. Those should be done here really soon, though, and then you can get the audio versions of the daily takeoff checklist that go more in depth on like the main game and the next logical hustle, so you get a better picture of why you want to do that, the reasoning behind it, and how it'll elevate your life, and just start, you know, building your positive network within inside yourself. Start erasing some of this negative neurological pathways that have been built up since you were a child, and start digging them out and replacing them with positive ones, which is huge for you to really get to the point to where we're at, lined up on our paths, and amazing stuff is dropping. Everything's amazing now. Every week it's like something new. This week, my experience has been monumental, because I've come across another major domino, and something I could do that is exactly lining up with what I'm trying to accomplish next. I'm extremely excited about it. And I can't wait to put all my time and effort into it. But that's all I've got.
All right, guys. So this wasn't very specific, but there are a lot of specific gems. Well, I don't know. I think there's a lot of gems in it. So like, you'll see you'll see it when the snippets come out. So,
oh yeah,
But like, comment, subscribe. Again, hit that notification bell if you want to know when we're going next. This is so important to me. I have my taxes due. If I don't finish them tomorrow, I get fined. Last of the last of the line, yet I still show up. So, you know, still made it a point to be here, and you know, that's how important it is. When my wife's like, "Well, taxes are due tomorrow." Oh my god! I'm like, "Well, I'm gonna figure it out," but I have to do this podcast. So that's how important it is. You know, when this is literally my taxes aren't done, when it like hangs over your head, is very stressful, especially when you have businesses and you depend on that. So, and the IRS is nothing to mess with, like the Wu-Tang. So anyway, Thursdays, 8:00.
8:30 ish.
8:00. Yeah, it'll be a little later because sometimes we're chopping it up. Like today, my goal was just to get on and do it at 8 and just like go, but then I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna worry about it. We're gonna
have to talk about that. So, but we need some people watching. We need to know you people are watching and subscribe. So we don't have a choice but to, okay, we got to clean this up a little bit. We got to narrow down our talks. We need to be actually on at this time and really start dialing in a little further. That would be exciting.
Right.
And I can't wait for that.
With the amount of viewers we have now, we're not really putting a huge emphasis on
being on time.
Yeah, we're more putting emphasis on quality. Like, if you guys were all ready to show up, we would be on time. But we're like, 100%. Well, if you guys are going to be watching this 2 years from now, we'd rather make sure it's super quality than rather be on time 2 years later. You're going, this is not very put together, and 2 years later, it's boring. So we're going, well, if you're going to watch it 2 years later, let's make sure at least it's really, really quality and to the point material. So,
yeah.
Peace out.